welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about brushes. If you're new here, then please subscribe because I would love that. Today is not going to be about makeup tools whatsoever, so things like beauty blenders and stuff are not even, whoops, there's stuff falling on top of me. They're not even going to come into the equation in this video. This is going to be kind of an intense type of video and I'm going to be talking about brushes kind of quickly, but I will write down all this information below. I find that brushes are probably one of the most daunting area when it comes to your makeup. You're like, what do I use this brush for? What's this brush for? Is this for my face? Is this for my eye? Is this for underneath my eyes? Is this for on my eyelid? Brushes obviously depend on a person's personal preference. Like, just because it's designed to do something and you prefer it for something else doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. So guys, if you want to know more about brushes, let's get into this video. The first thing I will say is about brush care. Make sure if you want your brushes to last long that you do clean them regularly and that you make sure you take care of them. I use a spot cleaner. What that is in between using my brushes I will kind of clean them down a little bit, and the one that I use is the MAC brush cleanser. I'm always out of this. The most common repurchase I make from MAC, and this is just to clean my brushes in between. Put this on a little cotton round and just rub my brush over back and forth through it, and it kind of takes off any of the dirt that will be on it so I can use it for something else. I use this, like I said, like it's water, like it's going out of fashion. Another option you can use is surgical spirits or rubbing alcohol, stuff like that will all work just to take the excess dirt off it. Intensely cleaning your brushes is something I do about once a month, maybe every 6 weeks. I have a lot of brushes. I don't need to clean them all that frequently because I can go through so many brushes. Like, I'll have like a dirty pile, like a pile that's just been spot cleaned, and then a clean pile, so chances are I always have brushes kind of on the go. I basically put a little bit of baby shampoo into my hand, about like a pea size, and just rub the brush in through it and then wash it out, and then I do that as we're going along. It's intense, it takes a while, but you get through it. So I'm going to talk about your brushes. I'm going to start with your eyes. For your eye brushes, it depends on the shape of your eye, like I said, because there's no point in me explaining that you go in with this shader brush and you say, well, that's too big for my eye. It doesn't really matter. You find an eye brush that suits you. The eye brush that I always go back to, I'm going to go for MAC brushes for this because then I can give you dupes for them because they're the easiest ones that I know to explain about because they're the ones I've been using the longest. So the MAC brushes that I use for shading or packing on shadow to my eyelid is the 239 brush. The thing with this brush is it's densely packed, as you can see, and it's just flat, so it gets all the colour kind of concentrated in one area or all over the lid or whatever, making intense packing on of eyeshadow, we'll say. The MAC one obviously is a little bit pricey. The one thing I will say about it is I've had this MAC brush since I started doing makeup, since I was about 16 or 17, and it is still alive to this day, whereas I've thrown out other brushes similar to this. So the MAC ones do last, but they are expensive. So one that I will compare to it and one that I do recommend, this is the Zoeva brush and it's the 234. It's described as a smoky shader brush. So you can see them side by side. They're quite similar. They're almost identical, and the Zoeva brand is amazing. Oh my god, when I found Zoeva I was like in heaven. They are one of the best brush brands ever for affordability, and I use this brush all the time, again, for packing on eyeshadow. It's the one that I recommend, the most comparable to the 239. Another brush that is quite similar from a brand called NIMA. It is a little bit smaller, as you can see. This is the 239 and that is the NIMA one, but again it can be used for getting into intense like little areas on the eye, again for packing on eyeshadow. The next brush I want to talk about is my 217, and I use my 217 from MAC for blending out the crease. So where the other brush I was talking about was for packing on eyeshadow, this is for blending it out because we don't want like eyeshadow that's the harsh lines and stuff like that on our eyelids. It just doesn't look good. This just brings up the professionality of your application of eyeshadow just that little bit. When you blend out the eyeshadow or blend out the crease, you want something that is going to be able to move the shadows but not like skip and drag and stuff like that. And again, I've had this brush for years and years. The one that I find is comparable but is a little bit longer is the Morphe M513 brush. You can see them there side by side. The Morphe one is just a tad bit longer but does the exact same job, gets right into the crease, blends it out, and I absolutely love it for that reason. The next one that I do like that does the same job, same kind of bristles, same type of shape, is from Zoeva again, and this is the 228, and this is the crease brush. So again, this is what you would use for blending out the crease. Obviously for beginners, the Morphe and the Zoeva ones be definitely better value. You can buy Zoeva from their site, same with Morphe. Now we all don't have the same types of eye shapes, like I said, and there's kind of detailed areas or little areas that you want to get stuck into, especially like the inner corner, underneath the lower lash line. You want to kind of use more detailed brushes for that. If you go in with the flat shader brushes, you're going to just pack on a bit too much. It's going to be a bit messy. So a brush that I absolutely love for detailed work, the Morphe M326. Great at getting right into the tear duct or right under my lower lash line for smoking it out. And I used it today. I use it a lot. I need a backup of this actually because it is a very commonly used brush for me. I love it so much, and it just applies the right amount of shadow without being too intense. And then you can even go back in with a brush like this to smoke out the lower lash line. So I do like this for detailed work. Two other brushes that are good for detailed work. One is the e.l.f. Professional Eye Crease Brush. It's very small again. It's good for getting under the lower lash line. It's a little bit bigger than the Morphe one, but does the same job. And then another brush that I absolutely love for detailed areas is the Morphe M507 brush. You can see that from it. It is just kind of tapered at the top, so it's great at getting right into the crease. If you have like a small crease area and you want to use a more detailed brush, this would be exactly what I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend it for smoking out or anything like that, but it is great for getting right under the lower lash line again and into the inner tear duct. You can even use this for underneath the brow because it is so small. Now I want to talk about fluffier brushes. So where we were talking about the dense brushes with these ones, I want to talk about more fluffy brushes. So these are going to blend out again, but they're going to blend it out even finer, so they're going to get rid of any harsh lines, anything at all. And they are things that I do recommend using brushes like this as well in your routine. And I have three brushes here that I love. They're all kind of similar. You can see that there. They're big fluffy heads, long kind of bristles on them. Great at getting right onto the crease, or you could even use this to apply a dusting of eyeshadow onto the eyelid if you don't want anything too intense. The brushes that I recommend are the Buff and Blend BB08 brush. You've seen me use this 100 times. Another brush that's similar to it is from NIMA, and it's just their pointed brush like that. It doesn't have a name. And then the final one is the Morphe M505. Again, great at getting right into the crease and just kind of blending it out. Then I want to move on to eyebrows. So for my eyebrows, I use two different brushes. I use a NIMA angle brush and I use the BB10 from Buff and Blend. They're both angle brushes. They're great at using the products that I love, especially gel products, and they're great at just applying product to the eyebrows. They don't add too much. The Buff and Blend one is so fine. You definitely won't be able to notice that from here, but it is such a fine tip on it. It's great at just giving the right type of strokes through the eyebrow, giving the most natural appearance to my eyebrows. So I love them. The final brush, I hate mentioning this because it is so expensive for what it is. It's the 210 brush from MAC. It's so small you won't even be able to see it. It is the finest tip ever. Every time people ask me how I do my eyeliner, it's always with this brush. And again, it's the reason why I don't like, you know, mentioning it, because it is expensive. I think this brush is about €25 and it is only for doing my eyeliner. It's the only purpose that it has for me, but it is the best at doing my eyeliner. I will try and find affordable dupes. I know NIMA has something similar, but it is a little bit thicker. There's a little bit more hair in it. This one has the right amount of hair. I just love it so much, and it just makes my eyeliner go on perfectly. There is about 5 or 6 different brushes I do recommend for the eye, and once you kind of have them, you can achieve any eye look, and then you're kind of building your collection from there. Now I want to talk about the face. Okay, for me, I use a beauty blender to apply my foundation, but a brush that I do recommend for applying foundation is from NIMA. I don't actually know this one, but it is the blue handle brush, and this is great at buffing your foundation onto your skin. The NIMA brushes are pretty inexpensive as well, and it's an Irish brand, so that's why I would recommend them. So in order to set my foundation, I use powder, and to apply my powder, I love a brush like this. This is a flat e.l.f. brush. I've had this brush itself for years, like it's falling apart, and I love it. I've glued it back together like twice since. I just love it because it just packs on powder onto the face, and it doesn't add too much powder, but it just kind of gets into all the crevices. It's great at applying powder, and even during the day it's great for top-ups, and I love this powder brush. For contouring, then I do recommend maybe a brush like this, or you can go with a brush like that, or you can go with, what other brushes do I have here? Even like I said, the Inglot one for contouring. You just want to get right underneath your cheekbones, so it depends on what brush you use. I have a whole contouring video on brushes and everything, which I will link down below. One that I do love is the Buff and Blend BB05 because it's angled, it gets right underneath my cheekbones. The same with the Zoeva, what are you called, cheek finish brush, gets right underneath the cheekbones again. So it depends on your own personal preference what type of brush you want to go for contouring. For blusher, I'm not very traditional. I use a brush that is actually designed for blending out foundation, and again, it's it's a duo fibre, it's stained pink because I use that many pink products with it, obviously because it's going onto my cheeks. This is the Morphe M436 brush. The other brush that is similar to it is the e.l.f. small stipple brush, again used for the same thing. So I just use it to stipple on my blush, bringing it back. It just adds a little bit of blush, not too much. You can use it with cream products because it's duo fibered, or you can use it with powder products. That's what I love for my cheeks. Setting my concealer underneath my eyes. I use two brushes and you'll be well familiar of looking at these over the years. The first one is the Real Techniques, and I love this because it gets right underneath the eye and just compact the under eye. And the same with this one, it's the 4SS from Inglot. This is a lifesaver brush because it can be used for like 10,000 million different things, but lately I've been using it to again apply powder underneath my eye and just to set my under eye concealer. And for applying highlight, the only brush that I ever use for applying highlight, and you will see this quite a lot, is the Inglot fan brush. This is the 37R brush. I don't have a dupe for this. I'm sure Morphe does, or Zoeva has one, or I think NIMA brush might have one too, but this is the best brush. I have found dupes of it and I still go back to this one because it is goat hair. It is just amazing at applying the highlight to my cheeks, and it fans it out like that. So you can use it just to feather on the highlight. It doesn't add too much and it blends it out perfectly. I absolutely love this brush. It's a lifesaver brush in my opinion. You don't necessarily need it. I mean, you can apply your highlight with your fingers. You can apply it with a litany of different brushes, but I just always go back to this one. Anyway guys, that is the roundup of all my brushes. Like I said, I will try and write down more dupes and stuff like that below. You don't need 1,000 different brushes to create the look you're looking for. You can do it in like maybe about less than 10, maybe about 7 brushes. You can create a flawless eye look and a flawless base. Your brushes do help so much with application of. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it for you, and stay tuned for my next one. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye.